Right now, Jalen Brunson is a finals MVP who just did the impossible for New York. But 4 years ago, the media called his contract a disaster. His own front office treated him like a bench warmer. And on draft night, 32 picks told him he wasn't athletic enough to survive despite being a national champion. The NBA scouting universe literally profiled him as a low ceiling backup who would get hunted out of the playoffs because he was too small. In short, the league set Jalen Brunson up to be a footnote, so he decided to become a legend instead. If you only looked at Jalen Brunson's college resume, he should have been a lottery pick. 2 national championships, National Player of the Year, consensus first team All-American. In short, a winner. Yet somehow, NBA scouts kept finding reasons to doubt him. Too short, too slow, too unathletic, not enough upside. For years, NBA scouts have fallen in love with what players might become, and a lot of the times, ignoring what's right in front of them. And Jalen Brunson became one of the biggest victims of that philosophy. Because while teams obsessed over wingspans, vertical leaps, and athletic testing, they ignored what actually wins basketball games. Then draft night finally arrived. 1 pick, 2 picks, 20 picks. Still nothing. The cameras kept cutting to Brunson, each time hoping this would finally be his moment. It wasn't. The first round ended. Still no Jalen Brunson. Imagine spending your entire basketball life proving everyone wrong, only to watch 32 players hear their names before yours. And imagine what it was like for Rick Brunson, a journeyman NBA player, watching his son go through that anguish. What made it even worse is that some draft picks had never even accomplished half of what Brunson had. But the NBA, they already made up his mind. He wasn't a future star. He was supposed to become a backup at best. And that's the mindset Dallas operated with when they selected him with the 33rd pick in the second round. Most players would have felt relieved. Brunson looked motivated because every second round pick hears the same thing. You should just be happy to be here. Jalen Brunson wasn't interested in being happy. He wanted to prove every single one of them wrong. Again. And as it turns out, being drafted in the second round wasn't even the biggest mistake the NBA was about to make. Landing in Dallas looked kind of perfect actually. The Mavs had Luka Doncic, one of the brightest young stars in the basketball universe, which then meant there was no pressure on Brunson. He could quietly develop, and that's exactly what he did. Every season, he got better. Every season, his scoring improved. His confidence grew. His decision making started to become elite. Coaches trusted him. Teammates trusted him. Even fans were loving him. But the organization, the one that pays you and makes all the decisions, not so much. Because every conversation about Dallas started and ended with Luka. Brunson was pretty much invisible. Not because he wasn't playing well, but because he wasn't the headline. Because he had the scarlet letter that is a second round draft pick. Then came the 2022 playoffs. And suddenly, everything changed. Luka injured his calf before the first round. Dallas had a massive problem. Their superstar was unavailable. Someone had to step up. And guess what? Jalen Brunson did. Against Utah, he exploded. Not just one great game, an entire series. 24 points, 31 points, then 41 points in the biggest game of his career. He wasn't surviving without Luka. He was thriving and carrying Dallas. Overnight, the rest of the NBA finally woke up and saw what Mavs fans have been quietly seeing for years. Jalen Brunson wasn't just a role player. He was a star. And after that should have made Dallas's decision super easy. Pay the man. Lock him up. Keep the backcourt together. Instead, the Mavericks pulled a Mavericks and convinced themselves they had more time. Earlier in Brunson's career, they had opportunities to extend him on a team-friendly contract. They passed, then his value exploded. Now suddenly the price had changed, but Dallas still hesitated, savagely lowballing a guy who had proven his worth time and time again. Dallas thought that Brunson wasn't gonna go anywhere. They thought the market for him was dry. And this turned out to be one of the biggest miscalculations a front office has made in years. And we're talking about the Dallas front office here. Imagine how many miscalculations they've actually had. This might be the biggest, even bigger than Luka. While Dallas was dragging its feet, another team was watching. A team desperate for a leader. A team desperate for relevance. The New York Knicks. And they were about to make a decision that everybody laughed at. What do you think about Dallas's fumble? Please let me know in the comments. And guys, we are so close to YouTube monetization. Please, if you're enjoying the content, smash that like and hit that subscribe button so I can keep making content for you. Cheers. The summer of 2022 should have been remembered for one thing. Dallas and its stupidity losing out on one of the best young guards in basketball. Instead, the conversation became about the New York Knicks. They offered Brunson a 4-year, $104 million contract. About double what Dallas was offering him, by the way. And the reaction from the NBA universe? It was brutal. Panic move, classic Knicks, massive overpay. He's only getting this because his dad is on the coaching staff. That last one followed Brunson everywhere. Rick Brunson had joined Tom Thibodeau's staff. Almost overnight, people acted like that explained everything. As if a father could score 25 a night. As if family connections could make you one of the NBA's best closers. And let's also remember, as we said earlier, Rick Brunson was a journeyman. He's not having like major clout at this moment in time. This criticism completely ignored one simple fact. The Knicks weren't paying for what Brunson had been. They were paying for who they believed he could become. Dallas saw a good player. New York saw the face of their franchise. Only one of those organizations was right. And somehow it was the New York Knicks. Because Brunson wasted absolutely no time proving it. From the moment he arrived, the Knicks looked different. They felt different. The offense had direction. Late game possessions suddenly felt calm instead of chaotic. MSG finally had a point guard who embraced the pressure instead of running from it. Year 1, playoff appearance. Year 2, All-NBA, MVP conversations. One of the most feared fourth quarter scorers in basketball. The same player NBA scouts once called limited was now dismantling defenses every single night. But again, despite seemingly proving everything, the criticism and the hate was never far from Jalen Brunson and the Knicks. After shockingly losing to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Final and choking away multiple leads, those same voices came back. Jalen Brunson is too small. The Knicks are cursed. The Knicks are a terrible franchise who don't know how to win. And just as fast as everyone was celebrating Jalen Brunson, the NBA universe was quick to dismiss him and the Knicks again. But what they didn't realize was that in the background, Jalen Brunson was still working. And just like that, he made a decision that shocked the entire league. NBA superstars usually do one thing. Heck, any professional athletes do this. They take every dollar available. And honestly, how can you blame them? You only play for so long and you only have this amount of time to maximize the dollars. One injury as well can change everything. But Jalen Brunson wasn't thinking like most superstars. He was thinking like a champion. Despite becoming one of the NBA's biggest stars, he chose not to maximize every possible dollar. Instead, he accepted much less than he potentially could have when the Knicks offered him the max extension. Why? Because he wanted New York to have flexibility. Flexibility to improve. Flexibility to build. Flexibility to pay other guys so they could build something. Flexibility to chase something bigger than individual wealth. A championship. Your name etched in stone. Think about how rare that actually is. The same player everyone claimed only cared about getting paid was voluntarily making it easier for his team to win. That's leadership. That's belief. And teammates noticed things like that. Oh, and by the way, that amount that he turned down was over $113 million at the prime of his career after being lowballed at every step before. That takes almost once in a lifetime self-belief. These kinds of actions Jalen Brunson became more than the Knicks' best player. He became the embodiment of blue-collar New York. Every huge shot, every fourth quarter comeback, every impossible finish, the Garden expected him to deliver. And somehow, he always did. Then came 2026. The Knicks finally broke through, Eastern Conference champions. But waiting on the other side was that same hate, dismissiveness, and arrogance towards Brunson that had followed him his entire career. On the other side of that ball was basketball's next phenomenon, Victor Wembanyama, the future, the unicorn. The guy who they thought would steamroll the Knicks after he just crushed the defending champion OKC Thunder. Everyone thought and expected that this was gonna be Wembanyama's coronation. Instead, it became Jalen Brunson's masterpiece. The finals couldn't have been scripted better. On one side, the most hyped player since LeBron James. 7'4", impossible to defend, already changing the game. Victor Wembanyama. On the other, a 6'2" point guard, second round pick, questioned his entire career, constantly overlooked. Jalen Brunson. It almost felt symbolic. Potential versus proof. The player everyone expected against the player nobody believed in. The Spurs entered the series with the brightest future in basketball. The Knicks had something else. A leader who wouldn't be shaken no matter what the consequences were. Every single time San Antonio made a run, Brunson answered. Every hostile possession, he slowed the game down. Every pressure moment, he looked completely comfortable, while the other team looked panicked. Being doubted wasn't new. Pressure wasn't new. He's lived this his entire career. Draft night, Dallas, his contract. Every chapter of his story prepared him for this one. The bigger the moment became, the calmer Brunson looked. Until finally, in Game 5, Jalen Brunson put on his cape, scored 45 points against a hapless San Antonio defense because he had stolen their soul. And the New York Knicks became NBA champion. And Jalen Brunson was Finals MVP. The same player who was said was too small to ever be the number one player on a championship team. The second round pick. The guy the Mavs didn't want to pay $100 million over 4 years. What's considered a mid-level NBA contract now. He was now, and is, all the way at the top of basketball's mountain. Maybe the funniest part of Jalen Brunson's story is that everyone thinks it's about proving people wrong. It isn't, because actually Brunson was never chasing revenge. He wasn't trying to embarrass Dallas. He wasn't trying to silence analysts. He wasn't trying to win arguments on social media. He was simply trying to win, exactly like he always had. And now, he's won in New York. And guess what? When you win in New York, you're not only a legend for now, you're a legend for life. Cheers to the King of New York.